Yeah, so let's begin with this third introduction. As you maybe have seen in the email or in any other place, there is a PDF, a booklet that you can download with, basically all the lessons. So what these evenings are, they are, in a way, moments in which we can really connect to the material in a little less dry way, like a little bit more directly, and in a more direct connection. And like that, we will go through all the lessons until we have done all 12, and that will take, I think will be done in 2027 eventually. The beginning of 2027, I think. But there will be another lesson every month, and that will eventually build up to the end, to the last lessons. So welcome everyone. Wonderful that you came, and also for some to come back. So we will start the introduction. Dear friends, sometimes suddenly, without any warning or whatsoever, something starts to move within us. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's more like a soft restlessness or an inner confusion. It is as if something deep inside of us whispers with a silent voice, there must be more. This feeling or this sensing can happen in very different moments. For some, it suddenly arises when everything seems to go well, while nothing feels totally, really fulfilling. For others, it comes up when life has broken us so much that we open up a little. When the loss and pain have stripped away everything that we thought we knew. And then in the silence that follows after this, unmistakable questions begin to rise to the surface. Why am I here? Does my life have any meaning at all? Who am I really? And also, am I really who I am? Can I actually ever be fulfilled? Is it possible to find peace? When these kinds of questions arise in us out of nothing, then they are not by accident. They are neither a phase or a mood. What we feel are the first subtle movements, what we call in the Golden Rosycross the inner call of man. This call is like a sensing of a bell, very, very far in the distance, that we try to focus on. And then throughout all the other noises that are around. This sensing that there should be more to life indicates the awakening of what we call the spirit spark within the heart. This spark is a small point of divine light that was always there. It waited patiently while we searched high and low through every joy and every disappointment. When this inner sun starts to radiate in us, something changes. Something dissolves in us. A resistance is broken. And We may not be able to explain it, but life suddenly feels not the same anymore. We begin to sense something of a depth and a width that we had forgotten. And this call that we speak of never comes from the outside. It's never through another person or through some teaching. We bear witness of something that we can't name, but it feels as a pull by something eternal within us. It does not demand anything from us. It just invites us to open in its direction. The Golden Rosycross describes this inner process through a simple but also sacred symbol. The points, the triangle, the square, and the circle. And I will bring now up the symbol to make it a little bit easier for you to follow. So the points, the triangle, the square, and the circle. Each shape tells part of the story of how the soul awakens and grows towards the light. The point lies at the very center of our being. This point is the spirit spark, the eternal sun, the radiant rose of the heart. It is the part of us that never has changed, no matter what has happened in our lives. It is pure stillness, pure freedom. Every sincere longing for peace, every quiet act of love, every moment of truth that we ever felt, they all came from this radiant, central, silent place. The triangle. When we start to respond to this radiance, to the radiance of this center, a new consciousness starts to form in us that expresses itself through three totally new harmonies in our system. There's one, a new way of thinking that arises from silence. There is two, a new emotional life that becomes calm, compassionate, and balanced. And three, a new way of acting flows naturally from love. We call this triangle a fire that shows the birth of a new consciousness. What happens is that this spark of light in the middle begins to guide all facets of our being. And from that comes the square. As the soul grows stronger, it begins to influence everything about us. Our thoughts, our emotions, our energy, and our body. We may find that we see things more clearly and that we also react less from fear. We notice that a gentle rhythm with a greater peace enters into our days. This is the square of renewal of the fourfold human personality. The personality doesn't just disappear, it becomes prepared as an instrument through which the spirit can work. And finally, the circle, the symbol of divine unity. When the points, the triangle and the square come into harmony, we begin to live from a deeper field of life, one that knows no division. We no longer live only for ourselves, but as part of the great whole. We become co-workers with the divine that help life to unfold in the eternally embracing circle of love. Together, these four symbols describe the whole journey of our transformation. From a life that is driven by desires and fears to a life that is guided by peace and by love alone. And what leads us into this journey is longing. Longing is both our suffering and our grace. It is the continuous ache in us that tells that there is something more. But it is also the memory of the free soul. Longing is in fact the language through which the spirit spark communicates within us. When this longing becomes strong enough, it pushes us beyond our attachments. It makes us aware of what it is that no longer serves us. And even though that this process can be painful, it is also liberating. Because in dealing with all the false expectations that we have in life, we make space for something new in us. When our heart becomes still, when it becomes emptied of all the old noise, a new radiant breath begins to flow through it. This breath is filled with the light of Gnosis. It brings with it a quiet love that doesn't ask to be noticed or for any rewards. We become anchored in a space that cannot be shaken. And we come to a freedom that under no circumstance can be taken away from us. When we talk about to live in Gnosis, then this is to live in love without any resistance. Not because we have become perfect, but because we stopped defending the old self to the bitter end. We have allowed the new breath of life that naturally arises from the heart to move through us. As Mr. Jan van Rijkenborg said, the all-pervading radiation of the one good exists. There is nothing that stands between it and you. Not a leader, not a church, not even creation itself. You stand alone before it. To live from this radiation is fully attainable. So far, Jan van Rijkenborg. And perhaps the most beautiful thing of this all is that this call, this awakening, is already happening in us. It doesn't need to be created. It only needs to be heard and to be listened to. So when that quiet longing again rises in our heart, when you feel that something in you wants to live differently, please listen to it. Don't run away from it. Because it is not trying to take anything away from you. It is simply a call that is calling you back to your original home of love and peace. Thank you for your attention.